Hello, my name is Taylor Dunham, and my research proposal is on the perceptions of preterm births among African American women. So, starting with the statement of the research topic, we're going to go into the statistics. So, preterm birth remains a significant global health issue as the rates continue to rise. Annually, there are about 15 million babies who are born preterm worldwide. The United States is a contributor to the rising numbers of preterm birth. From 2007 to 2014, the rates began to decrease. However, in 2018, there was an increase that was noticed. Approximately 7,303 babies are born preterm weekly in the US. Additionally, differences in race and ethnicity in preterm birth rates continue to remain. African American women preterm birth rates are 50% higher than that of white women. So now let's look at some risk factors. When it comes to risk factors, there were some studies that indicated that preterm birth rates were more prevalent among teen and older mothers due to similarities with risk factors such as low socioeconomic status, extremes of body mass index, and smoking. However, for African American women, preterm birth affects women from all backgrounds. The reasoning behind this disparity is barely understood and cannot be explained on socio-demographic factors alone. The CDC reported that social determinants of health for Hispanics and African Americans are similar. However, preterm birth rates remain higher in African Americans than that of Hispanics. Social, economic, and racial stressors have been identified as critical components in poor birth outcomes when it comes to African American women. Looking at the research proposal, once again, is dealing with preterm births in African American women. So this research proposal will assist in mitigating the health issue in this population by providing knowledge of stressors of African American women in order to prevent the preterm births. Gathering information on the perception of stressors African American women experience will help to implement appropriate interventions in order to close the disparity gap and decrease the rates of preterm births. With limiting data on this health issue, this research proposal is imperative to understand the underlying factors and minimize this gap. This research proposal will showcase African American women between the ages of 18 and 35 perceptions of stress and stress management techniques. The proposed study will utilize qualitative methods and be guided by the social cognitive theory constructs to identify the perception of stress and knowledge of stress management techniques. This proposed study will provide additional data on the disparities within this population and assist in alleviating the high rates of preterm births among the highly affected group. So now we're going into the literature review. So we're focused on the women in the United States. So the exploration of preterm births was conducted by researchers to identify risk factors. A study on women and children in the US discovered that prior stress life events, such as the death of a loved one, divorce, separation, or fertility problems, was common among women who had preterm births. In a study comparing Canada and America, American mothers who had preterm births were more likely to have lower income and experience 3 or more stressful life events when compared to those in Canada. In addition to stress playing a major role in preterm births, having a preterm birth previously, pre-existing and gestational hypertension, Black ethnicity, obesity, pre-existing diabetes, anemia, and previous cesarean section were reported characteristics and biomarkers associated with preterm births. When we're looking at African American women in the United States, there was a study conducted in 2014 that consisted of 5 focus groups of low-risk pregnant African American women. The participants were asked questions in order to gain knowledge on their belief on why women have preterm births and factors that impact preterm births. Researchers concluded that the risk factors of preterm birth noted were health-related conditions, stressors, and unhealthy behaviors. Stressors were identified as lack of social and financial support, interpersonal conflicts, judging, unsafe neighborhoods, racism, and pregnancy and mothering related worries. Similar results were found in a study that was conducted in 2017, confirming that African American women in racial discrimination was a significant association with preterm birth. Interestingly, African American women of higher income and education levels had the highest rates of chronic worry of racial discrimination. Additionally, a study was conducted in 2011 that studied environmental exposures as factors to racial disparities in preterm birth. From the researchers' knowledge, there have been multiple hypotheses and explanations for the racial disparities in preterm birth, such as maternal age, educational attainment, income, and marital status. A study in Chicago analyzed that African American women with the lifelong residency in high income neighborhoods were still more likely to have preterm birth and very low birth weight than white counterparts, proposing that disparities by race continue to persist. Regardless of socioeconomic characteristics, African American women were more likely to have a preterm birth compared to their white counterparts. So now we're going to focus on a program called Black Infant Health. So Black Infant Health is a program throughout California that provides an affirming environment for African American pregnant women. Participants of Black Infant Health attend 10 prenatal and 10 postpartum sessions that are focused on the empowerment and support of the mothers and pregnant women who are attending. Through these sessions, participants are provided with strategies to reduce stress and develop life skills, build social support, access individuals' own strength in setting health promoting goals. In 2004, a study was conducted to determine the impact of Black infant health and the effects it had on low birth weight and preterm birth outcomes. The study concluded that there were no statistically significant differences in preterm birth rates between Black infant health participants and a comparison group. And this proposal theory will be utilized to understand the variables such as self-efficacy, knowledge, and attitudes of stress management as a factor for preterm birth prevention, and continued exploration is still needed. The commonly used theory in research for preterm birth is the social cognitive theory that focuses majorly on self-efficacy and knowledge for behavior change. For this research proposal, the social cognitive theory will be utilized in the development of the focus group guide. Questions used in the guide will be built from the construct self-efficacy, knowledge, and sociostructural factors. So now we're going to dive right into methodology. So in methodology, qualitative research will be used in this proposed study. The research question of the proposed study is, what are the perceptions of stress management as a preventative tool for preterm births among African American women between the ages 18 to 35 in California? To answer the research question, qualitative methods will be utilized. This study will be an updated tool to better understand stress that is caused by factors such as racism and discrimination. In qualitative research, the approach taken the approach taken is the exploration and understanding of how an individual views a specific societal or human issue. In this proposed study, the researcher is seeking to gain an understanding of the experiences and belief of preterm births among African Americans in stress management as a preventative tool to be utilized. Overall, qualitative research allows for the participants' opinions and interpretations to be expressed. This is why this method will be utilized. So the proposed research study is based on the grounded theory design that is part of qualitative research. Grounded theory is a qualitative design that consists of the researcher acquiring participants' views. The grounded theory design is being utilized in the study since the researcher is aiming to obtain personal views on preterm births and stress management among African American women. This study will continue the research concerning the rates of preterm births among African American women and the techniques that can be utilized to decrease the rates. Focus groups consisting of 6 to 8 participants will be one of the data collection methods. The participants are then able to express their experiences in a safe and comfortable environment with similar individuals. The participants recruited for the study will be African Americans who identify as women, are between the ages of 18 and 35, are US citizens, currently live in California, who have been or plan to be pregnant. And by selecting these specific individuals is critical to this particular study in order to ensure that the researcher gains insights from individuals who are part of the targeted population. The researcher will create and hand out flyers to community members at clinics, hospitals, universities, and any popular community hangout areas. The recruitment flyer will consist of information of the study, eligibility guidelines, and how to contact the researcher for additional information. So the researcher's role will be to conduct the study, code the responses, and analyze the results. Data will be collected by being on the field, collecting data through interviews by the focus groups. So the researcher will utilize a transcriber to analyze the data that is gained from the focus group interviews. The focus group interviews will be recorded, and there will be a note taker to write down the responses that are being provided from the participants. So the study does have some limitations that could take place. So one will be the small sample size, which is common in qualitative methods compared to that of quantitative. And some bias is that the researcher may have their own perceptions towards the study topic, which can be a limitation, ultimately influencing the researcher's interpretations of responses from the participants. So in conclusion, this research proposal will provide perception of stress management, assist in further preventative measures. Preterm births remain a significant health issue among African American women, which through this proposal will provide the perception African American women have on stress management and help to further assist preventative measures in the future. So thank you very much. Next, I just have the references.